The envelope lay on my desk like a coiled serpent, ready to strike. Divorce papers. After 15 years of marriage, my wife, Camilla, had handed me the documents with the same triumphant smirk people wear when they believe they've hit the lottery jackpot. Little did she know, I'd been 3 steps ahead for months. What happened next would have utterly shattered her world in ways she couldn't even conceive. My name is Ricardo Reis. I am 45 years old, and I built Reis Technologies from the ground up, transforming it into a company valued at 400 million reais. I started in my own garage with 25,000 reais borrowed from my father. Today, we employ 300 people across 4 states, with offices in São Paulo and Curitiba. I develop software that secures major banks and agribusinesses, systems protecting everything from sensitive financial data to critical national infrastructure. My clients pay exorbitant sums because I am the best at what I do. And this precision, this attention to detail, was about to become paramount in a way Camilla could never have imagined. I met Camilla Cavalcanti at a charity gala 16 years ago. She was 26 then, an event coordinator for a nonprofit. She possessed a natural, striking beauty, with chestnut hair that held coppery undertones and eyes that seemed to promise an entire future. That evening, she wore a green dress, and when she laughed at my terrible programmer jokes, I believed I'd found someone who understood both my worlds, the businessman and the nerd. Our wedding was intimate yet elegant, held at a winery in Bento Gonçalves, with only family and close friends in attendance. Camilla looked like a dream walking down the aisle. I remember thinking I was the luckiest man in Brazil. Our honeymoon was spent in Portugal, exploring vineyards and charting our life course over glasses of wine and seafood. She dreamed of opening her own event planning agency, and I was more than happy to finance her aspirations. For 14 years, everything seemed perfect. We lived in a sprawling home in the exclusive Alphaville condominium, the kind of place that breeds envy among other successful couples. 6 ensuite bedrooms, an infinity pool, and a breathtaking view of a nature reserve that greeted us each morning. Camilla's business thrived, orchestrating lavish weddings and corporate events for the city's elite. We vacationed in Europe twice a year, owned a beach house in Trancoso, and our parties were the talk of society for months. But about 18 months ago, things began to shift. Camilla started staying out late, taking calls in other rooms and smiling at her phone in a way that turned my stomach. When I inquired, she'd dismiss it with explanations of demanding clients and difficult suppliers. The excuses were always plausible, and I wanted to believe them because the alternative meant everything I'd built was a lie. Then came the changes I could no longer ignore, new fitness and tennis routines demanding expensive activewear she never wore around me, a sudden fascination with organic cuisine and meditation, retreats in remote temples, weekend conferences that multiplied like weeds. Each explanation, in isolation, made sense, but together they formed a pattern I could no longer overlook. The definitive proof arrived through my own security systems. The irony, wasn't it? I designed software to protect corporations from data breaches, and I'd never envisioned using those same skills to monitor my own wife. But when you operate in cybersecurity, you notice things. Digital footprints, metadata, the kind of information most people don't even realize exists. Camilla's credit card statements told a story she hadn't shared. Expensive dinners at restaurants I'd never heard of in Itaim Bibi, bookings at boutique hotels within our own city. Why would anyone need a hotel 30 minutes from home? Then there was the car tracker. I'd installed a monitoring system years ago for safety, a precaution against theft, never imagining I'd use it to track my wife's movements. But there it was, an address in Vila Madalena, a cafe downtown at odd hours, locations that didn't align with her stated work schedule. The biggest red flag, however, was her phone behavior. Camilla used to leave her phone anywhere, on the kitchen counter, the bathroom sink, the bedside table. Now it was glued to her hand, always screened down, protected by a new password I didn't know. She developed a habit of carrying it everywhere, even to the bathroom during meals. And when notifications arrived, she'd flinch as if caught red-handed. Yet I didn't confront her. What was the point? If someone wants to leave, they'll leave, no matter what you say or do. And frankly, a part of me was curious to see how far she would take this charade, how long she would continue to lie to my face while planning her exit. The morning she handed me the divorce papers, I felt something akin to relief, not because I wanted our marriage to end, but because the pretense was finally over. No more questioning if I was imagining things, no more doubting myself when she offered up stories that didn't add up. If you're reading this and have experienced something similar, if you've ever felt that gut punch of realizing the person you trusted most was living a double life, do me a favor. Leave a comment below about how you navigated betrayal in your own life, and give this post a like, because this story is about to get a lot more interesting. Believe me, you won't want to miss what happened next. It was a Tuesday morning in October when Camilla walked into my home office, an envelope in hand. I was reviewing a security proposal for a private bank when she stopped in the doorway, holding the envelope like a pulled grenade. "Ricardo, we need to talk," she said, her voice carrying that rehearsed tone people adopt when they've played out a speech in their head 1,000 times. I saved my work and turned to face her. She was wearing designer activewear from Oscar Freire, a set that alone cost 2,000 reais. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail, and there was a glint in her eyes, the look of someone about to do something they believed would change their life for the better. "What's up?" I asked, keeping my tone casual. She walked over and placed the envelope on my desk, right next to my coffee mug. It wasn't accidental. Camilla was always precise about these things, staging every scene for maximum impact. "I want a divorce, Ricardo," she announced, still not meeting my eyes directly. She fiddled with the cap of her insulated water bottle, opening and closing it as if it were the most important task at hand. I picked up the envelope and scanned the contents. Divorce papers, already filled out with my name, hers, and little yellow stickers indicating where I should sign. She'd planned this for weeks, perhaps months, every detail considered. She had accounted for everything. "Okay," I said, reaching for a pen. "No problem from my end." The silence that followed was deafening. I could almost hear the gears in her head grinding as she processed my response. She had surely rehearsed this scene 12 times in front of the bathroom mirror, but I'd bet none of her scenarios included me agreeing without a single objection. I started signing the documents, page after page. My signature was the same as always, firm, clear, no wavering, no dramatic flourishes, just Ricardo Reis, handling business with efficiency. "Is that it?" Camilla finally asked, her voice higher than usual. "Aren't you going to ask why? Aren't you going to fight for us?" I looked at her, truly looked at her. She was beautiful, that was undeniable. At 41, she still turned heads wherever she went. But there was something different in her eyes now, something that had been building for months, detachment perhaps, or guilt disguised as excitement. "Should I be fighting for us, Camilla?" I asked, maintaining a calm voice. "Why?" "From where I'm standing, it looks like you've already made all the decisions on your own." She opened her mouth to speak, then thought better of it. I signed the final page and slid the documents back toward her. "Here you go," I said, picking up my coffee. "All set." Camilla stood there for another minute, clearly expecting me to erupt or beg her to reconsider. When that didn't happen, her expression shifted. Confusion mingled with something akin to disappointment. "I've met someone," she finally said, a challenge now evident in her voice. "Someone who actually understands me. Someone who cares about more than just money and closing deals." "Glad to hear it," I replied, returning my attention to the computer. "I hope he makes you happy." "His name is Tiago," she continued, determined to elicit some reaction. "Tiago Amaral. He's an artist, a real artist, not someone sold out to the corporate system. He lives simply, authentically. He doesn't care about material possessions or status. He loves me for who I am, not what I can provide. I nodded, still looking at the screen. Sounds perfect. Is that all you can say? Camilla's voice rose, her irritation now obvious. After 15 years? That's your response? I turned back to her, and for the first time since the conversation began, I let her see what I truly thought. Camilla, do you want to know what I think? I think you've been cheating on me for at least 6 months. I think this Tiago Amoral is likely a struggling artist finding himself, incapable of paying his own rent. And I think you've convinced yourself that trading financial security for romantic poetry is somehow noble and authentic. But sure, let's pretend this is all about true love and not your midlife crisis. Her face paled, then flushed. How dare you? You know nothing about Tiago or what we have? I know he lives in a studio apartment downtown near Republica Square, I said calmly. I know he owes 30,000 reais on an educational loan and another 10,000 on a credit card. I know his car was repossessed 3 months ago for non-payment and that he borrows money from his parents to cover his utilities. Shall I continue? Camilla stared at me as if I were speaking Greek. You spied on me? She asked. Hired someone to follow me? I didn't need to hire anyone, I replied. I developed security software, remember? Digital footprints, my specialty. Your car's GPS, transaction records, your email's metadata. It's all there if you know where to look. You're disgusting, she spat, incensed. Invading my privacy. That's it. That's why I'm leaving you. You're controlling and paranoid, and you can't stand the thought of me having a life of my own. I stood up and walked to the window, gazing at the immaculate garden and pool where we once hosted summer parties. You know what's funny, Camilla? I'm not even angry. I'm just tired. Tired of pretending not to notice when you come home smelling of someone else's perfume. Tired of playing the role of someone who believes your stories about late client meetings. Tired of being married to someone who's emotionally checked out but still expects me to fund her lifestyle. My lifestyle? Camilla laughed bitterly. You act like you've been doing me a huge favor all these years, like I should be grateful for the house, the cars, the trips. Shouldn't you be? I asked, turning to face her. Because, as far as I know, your event planning company has been operating at a loss for 3 years, to be precise. The only reason you still have a company at all is that I've been quietly transferring money into your accounts to cover the expenses. Did you think clients suddenly started paying triple the market rate? Camilla froze. What are you talking about? Your company, Camilla's Events, has been bleeding money since 2021. Poor inventory investments, overpaying for venues, hiring staff you couldn't afford. I was covering your losses because I thought we were partners. Turns out, I was just the bank. She leaned against the edge of my desk as if needing support. You're lying. I opened a spreadsheet on my computer and turned the screen toward her. Here are all the transfers I've made to your company's accounts over the last 3 years. 900,000 reais in total. Want to see the transfer confirmations? Camilla stared at the numbers. Her expression morphed from defiance to confusion to something that might have been shame, but it quickly passed, replaced by anger. You were trying to control me? She demanded. Make me dependent on you so I couldn't leave? I was trying to support my wife's dreams, I corrected, but believe whatever version helps you sleep at night. She gathered the signed divorce papers, clutching them to her chest like a shield. Tiago and I will build something real, something based on love and respect, not financial manipulation. I sincerely hope you do, I said, and I meant it. Not because I wished her well, but because I knew exactly what was coming. And watching Camilla come to terms with the truth would be far more satisfying than any argument. Camilla walked toward the door, then turned back one last time. Oh, and Ricardo, I'm taking the beach house. My lawyer says I'm entitled to half of everything, including real estate. I smiled. We'll see what the lawyers say. As soon as she was out, I sat down at my desk and made the call I'd been planning for weeks. Rebecca, it's Ricardo, I said when my assistant answered. Time to initiate phase 2. Are you sure? She asked. Rebecca Silva had been my executive assistant for 8 years. She knew everything about my business and a fair bit about my personal life. More importantly, she was efficient, discreet, and absolutely loyal. I'm sure. Let's start with the credit cards. All of them. Every single one in my name or linked to a company account, cancel them immediately. And what about her mother's medical insurance? This was the nuclear option. Camilla's mother, Donna Patricia, had been diagnosed with severe rheumatoid arthritis 5 years prior. The biological drug she required cost 15,000 reais per month, which I paid through my company's corporate medical insurance. Camilla knew this. She just hadn't anticipated I would use it as leverage. Cancel it, I said, effective immediately. And the house? Change the locks tomorrow morning. Have a locksmith there by 8 a.m. Rebecca, make sure everything is documented. Photographs, timestamps, everything. I want an exact chronology of every action taken. Consider it done, Rebecca replied. Anything else? Yes. Transfer 2,500,000 reais from the joint account to my personal account. Leave her enough to cover her expenses for this month, and that's it. And cancel her company's credit line. No new infusions of cash, no more funding. She wants independence. She'll have it. Ricardo, Rebecca said cautiously, you realize she's going to lose her mind when all this happens. That's precisely the point. I hung up and leaned back in my chair, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Control. For too long, I had only been reacting to Camilla's moves, playing defense in my own marriage. Now, it was time to go on the offensive. The next morning, Camilla called at 7:30. I sent it to voicemail. She called again at 7:45. Voicemail. By 8:15, she had called 6 times and sent a dozen WhatsApp messages, each more frantic than the last. The messages started with fury. What the hell did you do to my cards? Then confusion. Why isn't my electronic key working? Did you change something? Then panic. Ricardo, this isn't funny. I have a client meeting right now and I can't get into the house to get my documents. Finally, desperation. Please answer me. We need to talk like adults. I deleted every message without responding and continued with my morning routine. Shower, coffee, the news. At 9 a.m., Rebecca called to confirm everything was in motion. The locks have been changed, she reported. I have photos of the locksmith's work. Cards are canceled. The joint account has been adjusted, and I just received confirmation that Donna Patricia's medical coverage has been terminated. Excellent. And the beach house in Trancoso. That's handled. I instructed the property management company to change the keys last night. They've also been told not to grant Camilla access without your written authorization. Superb work, Rebecca. There's one more thing, she said, and I could hear satisfaction in her voice. I ran that investigation on Tiago Immoral you requested. Want to know what I found? Tell me everything. Tiago isn't just broke, he's spectacularly so. He owes 3 different banks. He has an eviction notice from his previous landlord, and his bank account has a negative balance of 2,000 reais. But here's the kicker. He's been dating Camilla for 8 months, but he's simultaneously been seeing at least 2 other women. You're kidding. I have screenshots from his social media, photos with a woman named Aline Thompson from 3 weeks ago, quite romantic, and another woman named Clara Rodriguez. As of last month, Tiago hasn't been particularly discreet. He's posting everything. I felt a cold satisfaction bloom in my chest. Email me those screenshots. Already sent, but that's not all. Tiago has a pattern. He targets successful women, seduces them with talk of artistic authenticity and emotional depth, and then starts asking for money. Small amounts at first, then more and more. I found records of him doing this to at least 4 women over the past 6 years. So, he's a scammer. A very charming scammer, according to the women I spoke with, Rebecca clarified. They all thought they'd found their soulmate until he disappeared with their money. I opened my email and scrolled through the images Rebecca had sent. Tiago holding hands with Aline at an art gallery. Tiago embracing Clara at a beach party. And in several photos, Tiago was wearing designer clothing he definitely couldn't afford on an independent artist's income. Rebecca, you're a genius. Just doing my job. Do you want me to send these to Camilla? Not yet. Let her figure it out on her own first. I want her to fully immerse herself in this fantasy before I show her the reality. By noon, Camilla had left 11 voicemails. I finally listened to one to gauge her state of mind. Ricardo, I don't know what game you're playing, but this is serious. My voice trembled. I tried to go grocery shopping today and my card was declined. All of them. When I went home for my checkbook, I couldn't get in. The keys don't work. Did you really change the locks? And my mother just called me in tears because the insurance said the coverage is canceled. Ricardo, she needs her medication. This is cruel. This is revenge. I won't let you get away with this. Call me back immediately. I deleted the message and called Rebecca back. Update on the situation. Camilla's mother has called the insurance company 17 times this morning. Rebecca said, she's trying to figure out how to pay for the medication out of pocket. Camilla has called several locksmiths trying to find someone to open the house, but I took the liberty of warning the local companies that the owner, which is you, has forbidden any unauthorized access. Excellent. And what about her corporate accounts? The credit line is frozen. She tried to access funds to pay employees today and discovered a shortfall of 120,000 reais. She is desperately trying to figure out how to disburse salaries. Meanwhile, Tiago, judging by his Instagram, is lounging in a trendy cafe in Vila Madalena. 20 minutes ago, he posted a photo of his latte captioned, "Living my best authentic life." Not a word about Camila or any trouble. I couldn't help but chuckle. While Camilla's world was collapsing, her soulmate was sipping overpriced coffee and posting about authenticity. My phone vibrated with another call from her. This time, I answered, "Ricardo." Her voice was strained, choked with emotion. "What on earth is wrong with you?" "Good morning, Camilla. How's your day going? Are you serious? You locked me in my own home, blocked my cards, and cut off my mother's medication. What kind of monster does that?" "A man, I might add, who finalized divorce papers yesterday," I replied calmly. "You wanted your independence, Camilla. I'm giving it to you." This is madness. This is abuse. It's simply pragmatism, actually. You see, all these cards were issued in my name. The house is registered solely in my name. Your mother's health insurance is a perk from my company. You wanted a divorce, which means we are no longer partners. Therefore, I am merely protecting my assets and ceasing financial obligations that are no longer my responsibility. You can't just cut off my mother's medication. She needs it to live. Then I suggest you figure out how to pay for it yourself. Isn't that what independence means? Standing on your own 2 feet. Camila was already crying. Her voice cracked. "Ricardo, please. I know this hurts, but this is too much. My mother did nothing to you." "You're right, Dona Patricia. She did nothing to me. But you did. You cheated on me. You lied to me, and you tried to take half of what I built. So this is what's going to happen, Camilla. You'll figure out how to live that authentic life you wanted so much, and I will protect everything I've achieved. I can't pay. It's no longer my problem. You made your choice. Now live with it." I hung up before she could reply. The phone rang immediately, but I switched it off and returned to work. For the next 3 days, I watched Camilla's meticulously constructed world crumble through security cameras and Rebecca's reports. She attempted to break into the house twice, and both times she was escorted away by police who confirmed I was the sole owner with full authority to deny access. She exhausted the limit on the only card I left active, the one with a 500 real limit, and discovered that without access to company accounts, she couldn't pay her employees, causing 3 of her key assistants to quit on the spot. But the true turning point came on the 4th day when Tiago's true colors finally emerged. According to Rebecca's sources, including a very helpful barista from Tiago's favorite cafe, Camilla rushed to him in a panic. She needed money, help. She needed her soulmate to be the man she imagined him to be. Tiago's response was for her to ask her rich husband for money. "But we're divorcing," Camilla reportedly said. "That's the point." "Yeah, but he's got millions," Tiago replied. "Can't you just ask nicely? Say you'll be more accommodating during the divorce if he helps you now?" When Camilla tried to explain that I had cut her off completely, Tiago grew uncomfortable. "Look, honey, I love you and all that, but I can't help you financially right now. I'm on a break between orders, and my parents have also stopped giving me money. Maybe you should try to reconcile with Ricardo, at least until you get your share of the assets." Camilla left his apartment in tears, finally understanding what I had known for months. Tiago wasn't her soulmate. He was just another freeloader who saw her as an ATM. Only, unlike me, he couldn't even provide a statement. On the 5th day, Camilla showed up at my office. Rebecca tried to stop her, but Camilla barged past security and burst into the conference room where I was with an important client. "Ricardo, we need to talk," she said. She looked awful. Dirty hair, smudged makeup, the same clothes from 2 days ago. I apologized to the client and took her to my office. She collapsed into a chair. It was clear she had been crying for days. "I made a mistake," she said quietly. "A huge mistake. Tiago isn't who I thought he was. And now I see I didn't appreciate you. I didn't appreciate anything we had." I sat opposite her and waited. "Can we please talk like rational adults?" she continued. "I know I hurt you. I know I betrayed your trust. But Ricardo, we were together for 15 years. That has to mean something." "It did," I said, "until the moment you decided it meant nothing anymore. I want to fix this. I want to go to marriage counseling, rebuild what we had. Please, Ricardo, I'm begging you." I picked up my phone and showed her the screenshots Rebecca had sent. Tiago with Aline, Tiago with Clara. His pattern: target successful women and drain their bank accounts. Camilla stared at the photos. Her face went from pale to ashen. "He said I was special, that he'd never felt this way about anyone. He says that to everyone," I replied. "You weren't special, Camilla. You were just the next Mark." She began to sob, a deep, wrenching sob, the kind that comes when your entire worldview shatters in an instant. "What do I do?" she asked through tears. "I can't pay my team. I have no access to funds. I can't even get my clothes from the house. And my mother needs her medication, Ricardo. She's in so much pain without it." I leaned back in my chair, looking at the woman who had once promised to love me forever. "So this is what's going to happen, Camilla. You'll sign a new agreement. You get nothing from me except what I choose to give you. No house, no cars, no support for your business. In return, I will reinstate your mother's health insurance and give you 250,000 Ries for a fresh start. You take this money, you leave town, and you never contact me again, except through lawyers. This isn't fair. I'm entitled to half of everything. You are entitled to what you can prove was your contribution. And considering your company has been operating at a loss for 3 years, that the house was purchased before our marriage with my money, and that I can prove infidelity, don't expect a judge to be very sympathetic to you. But try it if you want. Spend the next 3 years in court battling it out while your mother suffers without her medication and your business completely collapses. Or take my offer and walk away with some shred of dignity." Camilla sat in silence for a long time. I could see her calculating her options, trying to find a way out, trying to see if anything could be salvaged from the wreckage. "I accept the offer," she finally said. "A sensible choice. Rebecca will prepare the documents for tomorrow. You'll sign, collect the check, and disappear." Camilla slowly stood up, appearing to have aged 10 years in the past 5 days. "I really did love you once, you know." "I know," I replied, "and I loved you too. But love isn't enough when one of you is living a lie." She walked to the door, then turned back one last time. "Did you ever truly care about me? Or was this always just a business to you?" I pondered the question, recalling all the years we had spent together, all the plans. I cared enough to support your dreams, even when they were unprofitable. I cared enough to cover your mother's medical expenses without ever asking for thanks. I cared enough to give you 15 years of loyalty and trust. But you know what I realized, Camilla? Caring isn't enough when the other person doesn't reciprocate. After she left, I sat in my office, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not a vindictive satisfaction, but genuine peace. The burden of pretense had lifted. The effort of maintaining a broken marriage had been removed. And for the first time in years, I could focus on building something real instead of sustaining something broken. Rebecca knocked on my door an hour later. The documents are ready. The lawyers say everything is impeccable. Excellent. Let's get this over with. There's one more thing, Rebecca said. I did one last check on Tiago Amorim. Want to know what I found? Speak. He's already moved on. Yesterday, he posted a photo with a new woman, another successful professional. Looks like he's found his next target already. I couldn't help but laugh. Tiago was, at least, consistent. Should we warn her? Rebecca asked. No, some people need to learn their own lessons, just as Camilla learned hers. 3 days later, Camilla signed the agreement, collected her check, and drove to Curitiba, where her sister lives. I learned through a mutual acquaintance that she had closed her company, sold the equipment, and taken a job as an event coordinator for a hotel chain. A fixed salary, a regular workday, no need to pretend to be a successful entrepreneur. Her mother's medication was reinstated the day after the signing. I never intended to leave Dona Patricia without care. I just needed Camilla to understand what life would be like without my support. As for me, I threw myself into work. Race Technology secured 3 major contracts in the following months, expanded into 2 new states, and increased revenue by 40%. Without the distraction of a failing marriage, I could finally build the company I had always dreamed of. 6 months after the divorce, I met Camilla's best friend, Marina, at a charity event. She pulled me aside with a guilty look. I need to tell you something, Marina said. Camilla asked me to find out if you were seeing anyone, talking about her, that sort of thing. And what did you tell her? I told her you looked happier than you have in years, which, by the way, is true. You look great, Ricardo. Thank you. And I feel great. She's having a hard time, Marina confessed. The job in Curitiba turned out to be nothing like she expected, and she feels lonely. I think she's finally realized what she lost. I paused for a moment. Camila, somewhere down south, probably lies awake at night, wondering if she made the biggest mistake of her life. You know what the saddest part is? I finally said. She didn't lose anything. She threw it away. There's a difference. Marina nodded. If it means anything, I think she understands that now. Looking back, I see that finding those divorce papers on my desk was the best thing that could have happened to me, not because I wanted an end, but because it freed me from the grueling work of keeping alive something that was already dead. Camilla thought she was trading stability for authenticity, wealth for true love. In reality, she traded a partner who supported her dreams for a con artist who saw her as an ATM. And when that didn't work out, she learned firsthand that independence means carrying your own weight, even when the ground beneath you isn't as firm as it seemed. As for Tiago Amorim, the last I heard, he was already with his 4th successful woman in 2 years. Some people never learn, but that's no longer my problem. The lesson I learned is simple. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. And when someone says they want to leave, let them go. Don't fight for someone who doesn't want to be fought for. Don't sustain someone who has decided to fall. Just step back, protect yourself, and let them learn what life is like without you. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying someone, but simply allowing them to face the natural consequences of their own choices. Camilla wanted independence. I gave it to her. She wanted to see what life with Tiago was like instead of me. I made sure she had that experience fully and unequivocally, and now she knows. She knows what it's like to lose everything she didn't value. She knows that stability and support aren't weaknesses, but gifts. And she knows that some men will love you and some will use you. Understanding the difference is paramount. I feel better than I ever have. The company is thriving. I'm dating someone who truly values what I bring to a relationship, and I sleep through the night without wondering what lie I'll hear in the morning. Tiago did me a favor. He showed Camila's true colors, and in doing so, he showed me mine. I learned that I am stronger than I thought, more resilient, capable of stepping away from what's broken instead of trying to fix the unfixable. Sometimes that's the best lesson. Not every marriage is worth saving. Not every person deserves your loyalty. And sometimes letting go is the strongest thing you can do. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. If you're going through something similar, remember, you are stronger than you think. You are worth more than how you are treated. Leaving is not giving up. It's choosing yourself. Please like this post if you haven't already. Leave a comment, share your story, or just tell me what you think of mine. People need to know that it's okay to protect yourself, even from those you once loved. Thank you for reading. And remember, sometimes the best revenge is simply to live. Thank you for listening to my story all the way to the end. If it resonated with you, please give it a like and leave a comment about what touched you the most. And don't forget to say where you're from. Subscribe to the channel. There are many more stories to come. M.